Hello and welcome. Today we are looking at life in Alberta, Canada. We have the website from the province of Alberta. This website tells people what it is like to live and work in Alberta. We will look at the website and you will learn why Alberta is a good place to live and work. Alberta has beautiful places and nice people. It also has jobs and houses that are not too expensive.
The website says that Alberta wants new people to come live there. They say that Alberta is a good place to live. They also say that Alberta has people of many cultures and wants to create more jobs.
It sounds like Alberta's working hard to show people why it's a great place to live. And one of the things people think about when moving is work. Let's talk about jobs in Alberta. The website says that people in Alberta get paid well. It says that Alberta has some of the highest pay in Canada. They also talk about two websites, ILS's and the Government of Canada's Job Bank. These websites help people find jobs.
Those are good websites to use to find a job. It's good that Alberta helps people to find jobs. It's also good that the website talks about jobs that need special training and papers. These are called regulated occupations. For example, to be a nurse or an engineer, you need to have the right papers. They say it is important to get these papers before you come to Canada. This is good information for people who want to move to Alberta.
Yes, knowing this information before you come to Canada is very helpful. Another important thing people think about when moving is how much it costs to live in a new place. Alberta says it is not expensive to live there. They say that people do not have to pay for health care and that there is no tax on things you buy in stores. They also say that people in Alberta have more money after they pay their taxes than people in other parts of Canada.
This is important for people who want to live in Alberta. Alberta also gives information about houses. They say that houses are not too expensive in Alberta. They talk about how much it costs to buy a house in Alberta's big cities. They say that houses are much less expensive in Alberta than in Vancouver. They also say how much it costs to rent a place to live.
It sounds like Alberta is a good place to live if you don't want to spend too much money on a house. They also talk about childcare and transportation. They say that many people in Alberta drive cars.
They also talk about places where children can stay when their parents are working. They say that there are two kinds of places that are not official and places that are official. It's good that the website talks about the different kinds of places where children can stay. And it is important to know that you need a driver's license, insurance, and registration for your car.
It's important to know the rules about cars in Alberta. Now let's talk about communities. Alberta has many different kinds of communities. There are small towns and big cities. Calgary and Edmonton are two of the big cities. Alberta says that people in these communities are friendly and like to help other people.
They also say that many people in Alberta speak French. The number of people who speak French in Alberta is growing. This shows that Alberta has many different cultures. Alberta has many beautiful places. They have flat land, hills, mountains, and forests.
Alberta sounds like a very beautiful place to live. The website also talks about the Rocky Mountains. They say that the mountains are close to the big cities. You can drive to Banff from Calgary in 1 hour. It takes 4 hours to drive from Edmonton to Banff.
That's very interesting. People who live in Alberta can go to the mountains easily. This shows that Alberta has a good mix of city life and nature.
It does sound like a nice mix. And speaking of important things, let's talk about healthcare and education. Alberta says that people do not have to pay for healthcare. They have a plan called the Alberta Healthcare Insurance Plan.
This plan is good for people in Alberta. It means they can get healthcare and don't have to pay. It's also good for people who come to live in Alberta from other countries. In many countries, people have to pay a lot of money for healthcare.
It's good that Alberta has a good healthcare system. What about schools?
Alberta also has good schools. Children in Alberta go to school from age 6 to age 16. Children under age 20 do not have to pay for school. This is called public education.
This is good for families.
Yeah.
It means they don't have to pay for their children to go to school.
Alberta has many different kinds of schools. They have schools for everyone. They have Catholic schools for French speakers and other kinds of schools. They also have schools on the internet and schools where children can learn at home.
That's great that Alberta has so many different kinds of schools. What about after high school?
Alberta has schools for students after high school, too. They have universities and colleges. These schools are not free, but the government helps students pay for them. This helps students to go to school and learn new things.
This is good for students in Alberta. It makes it easier to go to university or college.
Alberta also has schools that teach students how to do specific jobs. These schools are called polytechnic institutes. They also have programs where students can learn a job by working with someone who already knows how to do that job. This is called an apprenticeship.
It sounds like Alberta has a good system for helping people learn new skills and get jobs. They also say that they have many students from other countries. They welcome students from all over the world.
This is good for Alberta because it means they have students with different ideas and experiences.
It sounds like Alberta has a lot to offer when it comes to education. But let's be realistic. Many people think about the weather when they think about moving to Alberta.
Alberta has 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. It gets very cold in the winter.
Yes, many people know that Alberta winters can be cold. But what does the website say about the weather?
They say that the winters are cold, but the air is dry. They say that this makes the cold easier to handle.
So they're saying that even though it's cold, it's a different kind of cold that's not as bad.
Yes, that's right. And they also say that houses in Alberta have heat, so people can stay warm inside.
That's good to know. It's important to be warm in the winter. Do they say anything else about the weather?
Yes, they say that Alberta has a lot of sunshine. They say that Alberta has the most sunny days of any place in Canada.
So they're acknowledging that the winters are cold, but they're also highlighting the positives like the dry cold and the sunshine.
Exactly. They're trying to present a balanced view of the weather in Alberta.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's important to be honest about the challenges, but also to highlight the good things. Overall, it seems like Alberta is trying to show people that it's a good place to live, even though the winters are cold.
I agree. They're focusing on the positives, like the strong economy, affordable housing, beautiful nature, and good schools.
Well, we've covered a lot of information about life in Alberta. From what we've learned, it seems like a province with a lot to offer. Would you consider making Alberta your new home? What would be the most important things for you to think about?
That's a very interesting question. For me, the beautiful nature that has the houses that are not too expensive and the friendly people would be important things to think about. Of course, each person has different things that are important to them, but Alberta seems like a good place to live.
I agree. They've given us a lot to think about. And for our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about Alberta, we encourage you to look at the official website for the province of Alberta. You can find a link to the website in the description of this episode.
This website has a lot of good information about Alberta. It can help you learn more about this interesting place.
And if you enjoyed listening to this episode, please subscribe to our show. We have new episodes every week. We talk about many different interesting things. You can find links to our other episodes in the description of this episode. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
We talked about jobs in Alberta.
Right. The website says that jobs in Alberta pay well. It also talks about a website called Alusis. This website helps people find jobs in Alberta.
Okay.
It tells you about different jobs and what you need to know to do them.
That sounds like a very helpful website for people who are looking for work in Alberta.
Yes, it is. You can also use it to find out about different kinds of jobs. Maybe you want to change jobs. This website can help you to find a new job.
That's great. So we've talked about how big Alberta is. It's the 4th biggest province in Canada, but it also has a lot of people living there. Does the website say anything about how many people live in Alberta?
Yes, it does. Alberta has the 4th highest number of people living there, so it has a lot of space and a lot of people. Some people live in big cities, and some people live in small towns.
It sounds like Alberta has a good mix of city and country living.
That's right. The website talks about the different kinds of places to live in Alberta. There are small towns with only a few hundred people, and there are big cities with more than 1 million people. That's a lot of different choices for people. So Alberta has beautiful nature, and they want to keep it that way. What does the website say about protecting nature in Alberta?
Alberta has a lot of natural resources. These are things like trees, water, and oil. The website says that Alberta is careful with its natural resources. They want to protect them for the future.
That's good to hear. It's important to take care of the environment. So we've talked about education in Alberta. The website says that children have to go to school. What ages do children go to school in Alberta?
Children in Alberta go to school from age 6 to age 16. They have to go to school. This is the law in Alberta.
Okay, so children under 16 have to go to school, and public schools are free until age 20. What about different types of schools? Does the website say anything about that?
Yes, it does. Alberta has many different kinds of schools. They have public schools, Catholic schools, and schools for children who speak French. They also have schools where children can learn at home and schools on the internet.
It sounds like Alberta has a lot of choices when it comes to schools. What about schools for adults?
Alberta has 26 universities and colleges. These are schools for people who have finished high school. They can learn more and get a good job.
That's a lot of schools. And the government helps to pay for those schools, right?
Yes, that's right. The government gives money to the universities and colleges so that school does not cost too much money. This helps students to go to school and learn.
That's a good thing. What about if you don't want to go to a university? Are there other options?
Yes, there are. Alberta has polytechnic institutes. These schools teach people how to do a specific job. For example, they might teach you how to be a mechanic or a welder.
That's good for people who want to learn a trade.
Alberta also has apprenticeships. This is when you learn a job by working with someone who already knows how to do the job.
It sounds like Alberta has a lot of different ways for people to learn and get a good job.
Yes, it does. And they want people from other countries to come and study in Alberta. They say they welcome students from all over the world.
That's good to know. It sounds like Alberta is a very welcoming place.
Well, we've learned a lot about life in Alberta today. From the beautiful nature and affordable housing to the strong economy and diverse culture, it seems like a province with a lot to offer.
I agree. They've done a good job of showing us the good things about living in Alberta.
If you're interested in learning more about Alberta, you can look at their website. We will put a link to the website in the description of this episode.
Thank you for listening to our show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our show. We have new episodes every week. You can find links to our other episodes in the description. We hope you have a great day.